each wrap to be about 45 degrees. Try not to trap the branches, so sometimes you sort of have to go off that 45-degree rule to get around a branch. You'll really find that the areas that you've missed, you will notice, because as you try and put wire down, there's needles in the way, so it's no odds just to go and clean up as you wire. And as I get to the end here, instead of trying to force it around this little thin, delicate part at the top, I'm just going to cut it. I'm going to take a piece of wire and make a loop out of it, and I'm going to use this to mark the front of the tree. For the front, I've chosen here, for the reason being that I can see the entire trunk line the whole way up. Got good branches on the left and right, and some back filler branches to create depth. I know I can't see the Nabari, but that can be developed in the future, so I'm going to mark here as the front. I'm going to keep this in mind as I work on the tree. And when you bend the trunk, it's good to have a branch, like this one here, on the outside of the bend. If it's on the inside, you'll get swelling inside, and it will give you a strange taper. So now that I know this branch is on the inside, it can actually be removed. I'm just going to give that a better bend. There's a branch here that I'd like on the outside of a bend, so I'm going to whip the tree back around this way. And we've got a slight movement. I don't want it too dramatic, but it is a good idea to give Piceas like this an extra little bend. Sort of bend them slightly beyond the point that you want the tree to be. As I find with these particular Piceas, is they don't really want to hold themselves in place after you take the wire off. You sort of want to revert back to sort of a straight up tree by pushing them that little bit extra. It really helps you set a good shape in it. Okay, so now that I've got some movement in the tree, I'm not too worried about this apex that's sort of flopping about. I'm just going to allow this to elongate and grow. All I'm really wanting with this tree is to get movement from the base as it tapers into the next part. Now to wire these two branches together. I know I say this quite a lot, but the general rule in bonsai when wiring is to wire one branch to the other. That's these two wired together. And I'm going to continue to do this for all these little tiny branches the whole way up to the apex. Alright, so at this point I don't really need to wire these apex like branches because they're very short, and if I do wire them, they're probably not going to set, they'll just grow. So this is the front of the tree. Later this part will come maybe forward like that. I just want to let it grow. Now to wire the branches, I'm going to pull them down from the elbow, just right in here. Sometimes when people wire branches down, they go like this. Not this dramatically, but they'll bend it maybe from in here like that. I prefer it when the branches come from the elbow, so it's good to put your finger on the elbow and take it down like that. Then you can pull it up from the middle like this. Same here, down from the elbow, up. All I'm doing is mimicking what I see when I'm in a forest. In older trees, because the branches, imagine a weight on the end of here, because the branch is so heavy and it has so much foliage, it pulls it all down from the trunk. But then because the branch itself wants to get to the light, at the ends, all the foliage springs up towards the sun. Same with these other branches, even though they're small, same thing applies. To make the tree look older, pull down. It's good to wire right to the ends of branches so that you can get it to perk up at the end. I think what I'm gonna do for the apex here is fold it to the right, like this. So the tree becomes a lot shorter in height. Imagine this isn't here. It's quite a nice tree, right? And see this little branch here? I'm gonna point that up, and I want this to become the new leader of the tree. So it goes from thick, then we cut it, the big branch off. It goes from sort of like large, medium, and then small, this little one here. So I'm gonna allow this to develop and get the tree healthy, but in a later date, I'm gonna cut this off, and that will give us a nice tree here. We could also develop this into a side branch if we didn't want to cut it off, like this. Maybe we could just shorten it. Like that. Looks pretty good. So as you develop your bonsai, it's a good idea to not get stuck in your ways of thinking, because you could find something that looks better. And I'm quite happy by finding this. I want the branches at the bottom to be the widest branches and have the tree triangular. There's just one little flaw, which is this branch here. It goes out further than this one. So I'm gonna shorten it to maybe here. I'm gonna use the wire cutters to do this. You can even have the tree planted at an angle so that the apex is off center from the base of the tree. Or if you prefer, you can have it, you know, like a formal upright. But I prefer for this one to be an informal upright. And I've just noticed This is bizarre. My front has changed without me even realizing. This is where we placed the wire, is the front. It's completely different now. So if I take this out, switch it around this way, I much prefer this is the front. So the front will also change. This will be a good planting angle, but I feel like this still extends too far to be symmetrical. Oh, that's much better. Let's dress it up with some moss. And there you guys have it. That was my approach to this little tiny Picea. I'm gonna leave the wire to slightly bite in, as this tree tends to struggle with staying in place. So if you let the wire sort of bite in very slightly, then take it off, it has more chance of staying in the position that you put it in. Come spring, I'm gonna fertilize it with a high nitrogen fertilizer. I'm gonna give it a repot, possibly, depending on how well the roots are doing in this little pot that it's in. And over the coming years, the tree will become more ramified, it'll grow more back buds, and it'll grow more branches, secondary branches, that we can then come in and restyle again to give this tree a more full look. Please let me know in the comments what you thought about this tree and my approach to it. And if you have any suggestions, I'm always open to new ideas. And now before I end off this video, I want to check out what Picea tea tastes like.